New reaction from Donald Trump this week after House Republicans announced an impeachment inquiry into President Biden. The move has gotten pushback from both sides of the aisle, but a new Reuters poll shows the country is divided on the issue. 41% support the idea, 35% are opposed, and 24% just aren't sure. Joining me now is Denver Riggleman, former Virginia congressman, former January 6th Select Committee senior advisor, and author of The Breach, the untold story of the investigation into January 6th. Welcome back, Denver. It's good to have you here. So let's start with your reaction to Donald Trump's comments, because there are several reports that Trump spoke to a number of GOP House members before the inquiry was announced. Do Trump's comments immediately then delegitimize the impeachment inquiry because it's just retaliation? I mean, does he realize that's what he's saying?
I think so. Yes. It's histrionics, hysteria, almost this Dungeons and Dragons mentality for Congress. That's what's taken over. And, Alex, I don't know if you've heard, I'm doing the Hunter Biden forensics, right? We have his devices. We've looked at the data that's out in the public sphere. And the problem that the Republicans are going to have is not just a retaliatory measure that Donald Trump referred to, but it's also the fact that data doesn't support it. We know that there's really no data in the public sphere that has any I would say, forensic chain of command. And that means a lot of publications have been wrong. A lot of reports have been wrong. And that's from forensic scientists. So I think there's a lot of issues that Republicans have, but really it's just to cover up a lack of legislation that's doing anything for the American people. And the best way to fundraise is over hyperbole and fantasy. So this is fundraising to the base. And this is really a retaliatory measure based on no data and really not a whole lot of evidence either. So it's pretty crazy out there.
All right. Well, you're referencing that which is in the public realm right now. I'm sure you can't be specific, but is there anything that's giving you pause that you are uncovering? Anything alarming? Anything you're like, hang on, this has to take a second, third look?
Nope. No, we have probably more data than, my goodness. When I brought on, they said, Denver, would you help us? I'm like, I'm not pro Hunter. I'm not anti-Hunter. I'm pro data. So what we do is we deliver the data and they do with what they want. And you can see how aggressive the Hunter Biden legal team is being. So we've delivered a lot of those forensics. And at this point, my job, really what I did in the military, congressman was just my cover, Alex. What I did was counterterrorism, data analytics, and forensics. So this has not been a very difficult job for us as far as looking at the data. It's been months and months, but we certainly don't see anything that gives us too much concern at this point.
Can you advise any current Republicans there, like, guys, this is a dead end here, move on?
Yes. I still have friends in the GOP. And, the thing is, it's just it's so politically viable. When you look at when you just showed that poll, the job of truth tellers is to help the 24% that are unsure. That's the job. Truth has to mean something and data has to mean something. But when you listen to Ken Buck, when you listen to Don Bacon, I know them both. I played baseball on the congressional team with Ken, and I know Don very well, former Air Force officer. As you know, I'm a former Air Force officer. Those are two people that are telling the truth. This is not a great path to go down. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact they see that this is sort of a histrionic measure. And it should be a little bit sad for the American people. They should be worried about the debt. They should be worried about, government shutting down. Mm-hmm. They should be worried about legislation that helps each of their districts.
What are the chances, real quick, this goes past it's an inquiry now. What are the chances it goes past the inquiry level?
Oh, it will. They got to have a vote on it because they have to make sure they go back to their base and they tell people.
Huh. Okay. Let's switch gears and talk about what happened on Wednesday, which was this. Utah Senator Mitt Romney announcing he's retiring at the end of his term. Next month, there's a new bombshell biography. It's titled Romney, A Reckoning. That'll be released then. Well, The Atlantic published an excerpt, and that is making headlines. Quote, a very large portion of my party, he told me one day, really doesn't believe in the Constitution. He'd realized this only recently, he said. We were a few months removed from an attempted coup instigated by Republican leaders, and he was wrestling with some difficult questions. Was the authoritarian element of the GOP a product of President Trump, or had it always been there, just waiting to be activated by a sufficiently shameless demagogue? And what role had the members of the mainstream establishment, people like him, the reasonable Republicans, played in allowing the rot on the right to fester? That's pretty heavy stuff there. How would you respond to those questions?
I think he's right. I think the first thing is it's very difficult to square integrity and winning elections now. I think they're almost mutually exclusive. Also, political herpes just doesn't go away. I mean, you have to treat it. And I think a lot of people thought that this would just go away in referring to Trump. So I think that the issue is that you have to sort of say, you got to take stock that, hey, this guy isn't going to go away. And he really controls such a massive part of the base with his cult of personality that excising that ridiculousness is going to take a lot of effort. And I think that's what Mitt's saying there. I mean, he's saying it very eloquently, but the simple fact is that as you're showing video, J6, you have to address really the elephant in the room, and that's the hyperbole and the weaponization of fantasy that we saw on January 6th, and the weaponization and monetization of hyperbole and histrionics that we're seeing right now in the GOP caucus.
Yeah, I'm going to have my director put up another excerpt from the book, but in short, Denver, he speaks about those congressmen with whom he spoke, Republicans, who said, I can't vote the way my conscience would suggest because I'm worried for the safety of my family. Is that something that still exists on Capitol Hill?
It might. I don't know how many death threats I got. I actually like to hang them up on the wall and frame them. They're just so nice. But I think, we actually had an attempt where people took the lug nuts off my, tires ridiculously so. And, there's some things that you worry about there. And I think it's very possible that people are worried about it. But the base is pretty engaged. And they can be enraged, in committee meetings after I officiated the same-sex wedding wasn't great. I got destroyed. So I think you do start to get worried. It doesn't feel very comfortable out of 70 people, in a committee room, only one of them like you, and either you got to be tough or you sort of roll over. And I think a lot of people are rolling over because they want to win their elections.